Hello everyone, I am here with the lovely Sheena, who is joining me from her home because of coronavirus, so there's nothing much we can do. I wish we could do this in person, but where are you based?
I'm based in Pakuranga, East Auckland.
Oh yeah, not too far away from me, so look, we so could have been doing this in person, but oh well. It's not going to stop us from connecting with each other, so I really appreciate you making the time doing the podcast with me, and thank you for following me. Thank you for replying to my stories. That's how we got in touch. You know, just a tip for those of you out there, if you reply enough to my stories, then I'll have a look at your page and I'll follow you back. So, thank you, Sheena, for doing that. So just before we start, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Sheena, obviously. I'm a stay-at-home mum at the moment. I'm married with 3 children, and I'm from the Cook Islands, born and raised in Auckland, South Auckland, Otara. And that's about me. Yeah.
Kia ora, I'm an Otara girl myself. Whereabouts are
you my family house is actually on Flatbush Road, off Preston, off Dawson. Yeah.
So you're a Dawson girl. Yeah, so I don't live in Otara anymore, but when we stay off Hills Road.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. East Tamaki area. So yeah, it's really cool. How have you been during this COVID-19 period? Have your kids been, your family?
My family's we've been doing great actually. For me, this whole period has been more about personal development. So for myself, I've been doing a lot of that, a lot of exercise, a lot of watching a lot of podcasts, doing a lot of personal development for myself and for my family. I just have been really I appreciate having them here at home with me. My kids, not too bad. They play up here and there, but they've been okay. And my husband also works from home as well. So yeah, I've got the whole family with me, and it's been okay.
It's been, yeah. And I mean, I guess on the bright side, this is allowing us to spend more time at home. Like, I've never spent so much time with my mum in my life because she's always been working, and then now that we're both working from home together, it's like we get that chance to spend time with each other, even though sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. It's
it's up and down.
How have you been with your kids, with homeschooling your kids? I did a podcast on this last week. And
I think we've been okay. I'm kind of fortunate because both my sons, I've got one in high school, so one's 14 and one's 10, turning 11, and because they're at an older age group, they're in an old age group now, so they don't need too much supervision. Right. But they've been doing a lot of Zoom calls with their teachers, and I've just been making sure, because if they don't check in with their teachers, they send me an email. So I've been trying to stay on top of them, and especially for my 14-year-old, just making sure that he's doing work across all his classes. For my 10-year-old, he's been okay. Like, he tells me a lot of what they do, and every time I go into their room to check, are they actually doing what they're supposed to do? They are. So yeah, kind of fortunate in regards to that. Yeah,
that's really good. I was actually, we did a podcast on this last week, like I said before, and I mentioned one of my friends on Twitter got a bit suspicious of her daughter not doing work, and she was like, so what she had to do was she had to go on Facebook and look up the school and message the school because her kid wasn't telling her about it. So that's good. You're really onto it, mum.
Yeah. Oh, trying to be.
Just a quick, one of my favorite foods in the world is obviously, I always say this all the time, it's bisopo and corned beef one. But another thing I like is minus. I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to make it because I know it tastes crap if I make it. So best if I go to Tan's kitchen and just get it from there. Safe. Yeah. What's some of your favorite island dishes?
Oh, so I'm a big donut fan. So Cook Island donuts. I love my Cook Island donuts. My mother also makes banana puke. So and I love her banana puke, but she also makes I love her banana puke, but she also makes pumpkin puke. So that's also one of my favorites. So, and chop suey. So,
yeah. So the whole menu.
The whole thing. Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool. So Sheena is a fashion designer, and I actually never knew of you until we connected on social media. So that was really cool to go through your work and and have a look at that, and what you do. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So talk to us about your career, fashion and design. How did you get into it?
So 2 years ago, 2017, I graduated. I was studying a 4-year degree at Wycliffe College of Art and Design, and I went there, and I actually went there with the intention of just doing art, and then I was going to leave and go to AUT and do textile design because that's what I really love. But my lecturers, they persuaded me to stay and do fashion, and so it was, at the time, like, I wasn't sure if that was the right decision I made, but it wasn't until 2017 that I thought, yes, this was exactly the right decision I made, because I actually fell pregnant while I was still studying. Yeah. And so, like, end of 2016, I was like, do I go back? Don't I go back? What do I do? And then my lecturer, one of my lecturers, she was like, when I started back becoming a lecturer, when I was a lecturer at Wycliffe, I had a baby as well, and I taught and I took care of my baby. And if you come back while you're pregnant, I promise you we'll support you during this time. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay. That was, for me, that was kind of some like reassurance. So yeah, I ended up going back to 2017 carrying. I had baby while still studying, and yeah, I completed that year. After that, ended up at home with baby. I was fortunate enough that my husband allowed me the time to, like, stay at home with baby. And then he was like, why don't you pursue doing fashion as a business, since you're at home with baby and you're still trying to figure it out? And while because baby was young at the time, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. So in the last 2 years, I've been kind of navigating the whole, stay at home mom and trying to get something fashion related off the ground. So yeah, that's where.
How long has it been since? So what's your label called?
So my label's called Sheenz, and it's actually just my nickname. I kind of came up with it kind of on the fly. In 2017, I wanted to do a local fashion show, and I couldn't really, I had a collection and I wanted to put it in the show, but I didn't I didn't have a brand name, and I needed a brand name to join the show. So my friends and family were like, oh, why don't you just do Sheenz? And I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of just rolled with it.
Yeah. Just, I have a quick question about your studies. So at Wycliffe College, were there many other Cook Island students there, or any specific students there?
It's funny to say that. When I started there was like about 10 of us. I think 10, maybe a little bit more, maybe 14 of us. By the end, there was like 3 of us. So 3 of us ended up graduating at the end of. So yeah, not really. Well, in all up, there were Pacific Island young people, but I think I was probably one of 2 who was like a mom and a lot older than all the students that attend.
How old were you when you were there?
I was like, I think in my early 30s, 34.
That's so inspiring, because I'm going to go back to school soon as well. And it's because when I did my postgrad at age 26, and then I didn't finish it, and then I went back at age 27, and I just felt so old and out of place. And then after class, I would have to get in the car, go straight to work. So, and it was, sometimes I just felt like I wasn't getting that real young college experience.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I did my undergrad at a young age, so straight after high school, but when it came to postgrad, I didn't feel. So that's really cool that you're.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I had always wanted to go and study, but I didn't know how with the kids. Yeah. But my husband, I was fortunate enough because my husband's family, they're like an educated family, so they all have like degrees, and they were like, my husband was like, okay, I finished studying, now it's your turn. So I guess if it wasn't for him and his family, I don't know if I would have gone back and had completed a degree, but because he was like, you're going to do this. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Yeah.
All right then.
Yeah.
I really love that. So do you come from a family that makes really beautiful island dresses, or,
my mom, she was a seamstress. Like when she migrated to New Zealand, she ended up working in the factories, and she was like a seamstress. So later on in life, she kind of stopped. Once all the manufacturing ended up going overseas, Mum started doing home care, but she still like had a big sewing machine, and she would make us clothes when we were small, but she used to spend a lot of her time making TYYs.
Yeah.
So lots of TYYs, lots of cushion covers, and our home was like decorated with all that stuff. So
That's
yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful because I know of TYY through a Pacific art class that I did over at uni.
Yeah.
Was it quite expensive to sell?
Oh, well, mum didn't, like, she didn't make it to sell. Like my older sister, like, my older sister got married, and my mum and them, they usually do this occasion called in, like this traditional thing called in or order. So she made like a lot of TYYs for my sister's wedding, just for that one part in her wedding. Yeah. So yeah, so she made it like with even my aunties, like they all made TYYs as well. So yeah, this was something that they just did on the side apart from working. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's so cool. So as a plus, I just have a question. I've never had a fashion designer on my podcast before, so I hope you feel honoured, because I feel honoured.
Thank you so much.
As a plus size, because I'm size 22, I struggle with confidence when it comes to fashion, and I don't think I'm ever brave enough to attend a fashion show, even though I've had many times the Pacific Fusion Fashion Show. I've received tickets for that before, and I've never had the confidence to go. Have you worked with designers or models who have the same fears, or is it just me over here?
Great question. I think just in the last couple of years, I've seen a shift in our Pacific Island models, especially the plus size. A lot of them have a lot more confidence to try out for things like Pacific Fusion. I remember going to Pacific Runway in 2018, and a friend of mine who was a designer doing plus size, she had a whole group of girls who were all bigger. They were just so like confident in themselves. And I don't know if it has a lot to do with the Australian culture, but they just had so much confidence in themselves, like to the point where they would tell the designer like some of their ideas. But yeah, I think there's a real huge shift right now in regards to that. Like I know I've been seeing quite a few poly girls on Instagram who model for Pacific Fusion. They have so much confidence, and I love that they're real confident in who they are and about their body image. So yeah, I think right now there's an actual shift, and I think I like it.
Oh, I like that. Cool. So
yeah.
Sweet, that's good. You've cleared that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to us about your design process. I mean, what's that like for you?
Okay, so usually my design process, I usually like come up with a concept, or usually inspired by, like just recently I went to Rarotonga end of last year, and just really inspired by experiences. I mean, the beautiful island itself, and I usually like try to come up with a concept in regards to my experience or something I've seen or something that it's really inspired me. Then what I do is like I usually create a mood board, and then like through that mood board I tend to come up with colors, and then the next thing I do is I start to do a bit of research and look for fabrics. Once I have the fabrics on lock, it kind of gives me the opportunity to design my next collection, and then I just go from there, start designing, start making, and then start putting it out. Yeah, that's usually how my process works.
I love that. I'm actually looking, so one of the things that I do is I tend to go to the Otara factory and buy my own fabric, and then go to my Fijian Indian seamstress over in Mount Roskill, and she makes my dresses. She doesn't have a process. She's just like, show me the photo, I'll make it like that, I'll measure your body, and that's it. But I'm kind of looking for really, I guess, designers and seamstresses that really, does that make sense? Seamstresses.
Seamstress. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who are really intentional about the work that they do, as opposed to show me the photo, like, you know, they make it a real special because it is a special process, especially when they send me the text, your dresses are ready. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll drop everything and go and pick up my dresses. So that's really cool. So would you say that you're quite intentional when you're trying to make each garment?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Like I kind of I noticed something about myself. I kind of struggle with custom make, because for me it takes the whole creativity out of the whole process. So that's why I kind of like where I come up with my concept, and then when I put it out there, you know, you kind of pray that somebody likes it. Yeah, so that's my whole process. But yeah, I know a lot of people, they love to custom make. They love to come up with the ideas with their clients, and then they then they make it, and the kind of like, yes. But that's something I'm kind of the opposite, where I work a different, like the other way, where I like to create it, make it, and just hope people like it when I put it out there. Yeah, so that's my angle. Yeah,
so I had a look through your social media, and for those of you who are listening and haven't been to Sheen's social media, if you go onto Instagram and have a look at some of her work, it's amazing. It's really good. When making your designs, is there a certain way you like to do things? I know with me, with my podcast, like I like to do things a certain way. I don't like to be interrupted. I like to have things that are accessible. I don't know. Is there a way that you like to do things?
Oh gosh, I've never thought about that. I definitely like to be in my own space. So yeah, I think so. Oh yes, there is something. I actually like to work with other people. I noticed through this whole time working at home that I've been struggling because it's just me. So you're kind of the only one encouraging yourself. So I did a lot of networking. So now I've got like a friend who's also a designer. So we're able to communicate and like bounce ideas off each other. But yeah, I kind of think that I work well with other people, but being in this isolation, it's made me rethink my whole process in regards to that. But yeah, I like to work around other people because I like to hear feedback to see where I'm going.
Yeah, I like to work on big projects with other people. But when it comes to my actual podcast, I can't do it with people. When it's a personal thing like this, like Tima Talks, I can't really. I've had people try and help me before, and it's like, no, leave me alone. I guess we all have our own ways of working.
Yeah.
What do you look for in a model who is about to wear your designs?
Something I'm really big on in regards to modeling is giving our Pacifica people the opportunity to model. Like when I was studying at Wycliffe, we got given the opportunity to choose from an agency to choose their models. And every year that I showcased, at the end of the year, I would be like, nah, I'm choosing Cookie models or Pacifica models, because for me, I feel because I'm already in a European environment or Western environment, I wanted to give the opportunity back to our people and our girls to have that experience on the runway. So when I look at models, I always think about what will this look like on an island girl. Yeah, so that's how I always look at it, well, that's my view on how I choose.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
That's
diversity. I heard that, I've read on social media posts before that certain fashion events here in New Zealand, I won't say which ones, but certain mainstream ones, not the Pacific ones, the mainstream ones, are not as diverse as they try and make it out to be. I don't know, but it's cool that you choose models who are brown and beautiful, because it's like we need it. That's cool. How has being in the fashion industry helped you with your personal growth?
I think, if anything, like fashion is pretty cutthroat, but I think for me, it's been it's given me a bit of confidence. Like obviously in the fashion industry, like as a brown person, you really have to it's like we have to sell our story just to get out there, and for me, like just having the confidence to do that, I think has been really helpful. Like it does really come down to yourself and if you know yourself that well. And so for me, it's just having the confidence to just get out there and do it.
Right. So when you say it's cutthroat, what do you mean by that?
Like there's quite a lot of there's competition out there, and it's competition in a sense where, like, for us as PIs, like we don't have the luxury of having all the money in the world to put out our brands. So we've got to kind of start from the bottom and work our way up. Whereas with our competition, I guess some of them are like quite privileged, so they do have the money and they can get up there and put their brands out here. But for us, it's a different approach. We don't come from that. For us, we're like having to depend on like our partners to kind of support us while we try and put ourselves out there. But for some people, they're lucky they get the opportunity to just do it. So for us, we're having to think outside the box on how we can get ourselves up there.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love that you're not, you know, you're not victimizing yourself, and that, you know, you just got to fight your way through. And that's just life sometimes, you know, it's just and in order to make that change, you just have to fight. So I thank you. And I think it's really cool that women like you, Pacific women like you, are leading the way for other young Pacific designers. And there's a lot out there, which is really cool. So
There is a lot out there.
Yeah, and thank you for you sharing your story and bringing that to light, because that's something I didn't know. So it's something that I'm going to keep in mind when I go on social media and I see a fashion designer posting their stuff. I can keep. Sheena told me that they should, or, you know, Sheena told me that they, you know, they have to work a little bit harder. So I can support them as opposed to going to somewhere else, because I quite like. I won't say the names, but I quite like a lot of Western.
Yeah.
I have to look at island design. So if you sharing that is making me think twice. So I appreciate that. Anything else? Like anything else with your personal growth? Has it helped you with your family? Has it helped you with relationships, like networks or?
Oh, personal growth. Yeah. I think for personal growth, that's something I'm working on at the moment. It had nothing I wouldn't say it had nothing, but in regards to business, I think for me, I found my personal growth during my health journey.
Yeah.
So once I decided to take my health seriously, then that's when all the personal growth kind of started. So yeah, especially during this time when there's you do get the opportunity to reflect on yourself. So it's about putting those little routines in place just so you can take care of yourself.
That is so important, you know, because I've been watching RuPaul's Drag Race masterclass, RuPaul's masterclass, and he was talking about how health really is wealth. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health, that money don't mean anything, because you're not going to be able to enjoy it. That's just an example of how important it is to take care of ourselves. What are some of the things that you've been doing to take care of yourself?
So, like I said before, I've been doing a lot of exercise. So I was fortunate enough that in February, a group of friends of mine, we decided to do a Biggest Loser challenge. So my husband and I, who already had started our health journey towards the end of last year, when I thought, okay, what we're eating is not good for us. We've got to change the way we eat. So we were fortunate enough to start back then. So for me, it's been about eating healthy, exercising, and just recently I've been watching a few things online that has made me think about having routines in place for us. So that's been a big thing for me at the moment. I don't know if you've heard of the acronym SAVERS, but that's a routine that I've been starting to learn how to do, where you you're doing affirmations, doing visualization, you're reading, you're journaling, and you're meditating. So that's something that I picked up during this whole lockdown that I've been trying to implement in my everyday routine.
Yeah.
So
it's so true. So I got distracted looking at the
no, that's good.
With routine, that is so key. Because I sign up to masterclasses, and every single successful person all of them are successful, but every single person has a routine. Like they wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Apparently, I've read that I've been doing this for a while now. When you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you gain an extra hour in your day.
Yeah, that's right.
But sometimes it takes a bit of sacrificing of sleep.
Yes.
If you need to get it done, you got to get it done.
Yeah, that's right. I've been waking up I think the earliest I've woken up is 6 o'clock, 4:45. So I'm just trying to work my way to 5. Yeah, but I guess it comes with that whole going to bed early.
Exactly. So it's just hard. When you have a late night like me, I work until midnight, and even though I'm working from home, I'm still working, and it gets a bit hard when you've been staring at a computer screen for the whole day, and then you have to go. It's hard. So
yeah,
I guess that's life. What are some of the exercises that you've been into lately? I've been trying to running in my gym. I've gotten better at it, and I just like the feeling of it. So what are some of the exercises that you've been doing?
So my husband and I were I love walking. That's been my thing even before I met my husband. But we've been doing Dave Latelle's BBM. So we've been doing the whole Tabata sessions with him. So that's been something we've been doing it. Because I remember saying to my husband, I need a whole body workout, not just walking. And he was like, shall we try BBM? And I was like, yeah, let's try. So we've been doing a lot of Dave's classes on his Facebook. page. So yeah, that's been really awesome for us, and it's been working for us. So when we want something a little bit more intense, we'll go and do that.
You know what I love about this? I love you talking about taking care of yourself has not been about losing weight. You've only talked about health. And I love that. And that's really the focus, and that's really the focus that we should be, I think as Pacifica women, and you mentioned that before, a lot of us are becoming more confident with our thick bodies. I love that you've just mentioned, you've never, not once have you mentioned trying to lose weight. You've mentioned health. So I think that's really key. So thank you. That's a positive message. And that's what I want. That's what I want. But that's who I want to vibe with, So I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's okay.
So I mean, what advice do you have to anyone? Say if I wanted to become a designer tomorrow, or I was thinking about it's not going to happen. I can't even draw a stick figure. But what advice do you have for anyone who is wanting to become a designer?
I think just do it.
That's always the advice, eh?
Yeah.
In anything, just start, just do it.
Yeah, just do it, because eventually, I know with our Pacifica people, we tend to talk ourselves out of it. We'll be like, oh nah, that's a dream, that's something so far away, and then once we talk ourselves out of it, that's it. We don't consider it again until later on when something pops up. So yeah, my advice would be just do it. There's some really good schools out there to study it, if studying is your thing. If studying is not your thing, now we have the internet with a whole bunch of information on there if you want to find something in that area that could help you out. But yeah, I just say just go for it, just do it.
Yeah, it is. And then just do it, and then make mistakes, learn from it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think people tend to let fear hold them back. And I'm a hypocrite. I've been working with a business mentor lately, and yesterday was just one of the hardest sessions I've ever had. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life, having to say out loud, what is it that you want? What is your vision? And I couldn't say it because for me, it's scary. It's a world away. It's not something I'm used to. So I really appreciate you for sharing that. And that's true. We can sit here and say, you should contact this. You should do this. You should study that. No, just go and find your own path. That's so cool. What's been your biggest learning lesson from your career so far?
I think for me, it's actually where I'm at right now. When I decided to do fashion, the school that I attended, they're also big on sustainability, and and that's something that we in the fashion industry are having to deal with right now. And I think for me, I never thought of it when I decided to do fashion. I didn't even know what all of that meant, but it wasn't until I started studying, and then our lecturers started to tell us a little bit more about it, that now I'm like, oh my gosh, and it's had to make me rethink my practice about sustainability and, being ethical in my own creative process, and also about how to keep it New Zealand made and local, because I have a lot more, I think you're able to trace it more when it's made here in your own country. So for me, I think the biggest learning curve in this whole thing would have to be learning about sustainability as a designer, because we never thought of that back in the day. It wasn't really something, it was easy for us to just ship things offshore and get it made, overseas. But now I'm having to rethink my practice and have a look at, am I going to be am I going to add value to the fashion system, or am I going to, just keep blindly doing what I'm doing without even considering that? Just all those things, keeping those things in mind.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because I did a business in context paper as an elective back when I was studying, and just we don't, the fast fashion is such a it takes a toll on our planet.
That's right.
Especially making jeans. I can wear jeans when you see where the dye from the jeans go into the ecosystem, it's really it's easy to ignore because it's cheap.
Yes, that's right.
And because we don't see it often. But the only problem is that with ethically sourced clothes is that it's a lot more expensive.
That's right.
Yeah. And
that's a struggle I'm having at the moment, because a lot of people who make organic or, are doing things that are ethically are halfway across the world. So it's trying to, have access to that. I think that's the the strain at the moment is having access to the organic fabric, and
here's the question. Here's the question. How many islanders do you think actually care about that? How many of like your family and friends, not islanders in general, I'm talking about your family and friends, how many of them actually care where the fabric comes from?
Man, honestly, I don't think anyone does. And you're right. That's a huge thing. Like, even trying to pitch that to my husband, that was hard for him. He was like, couldn't care less.
Organic, ethically sourced clothes, like a t-shirt, like this is organic and ethically sourced from Fiji. That was like 45 New Zealand dollars.
Yeah.
So it's really, I mean, I value that. I'm trying to be more mindful of where I purchase my clothes, because I don't want to support fast fashion. I watched a documentary from India of the building collapsing, and
yes, True Cost, I think.
What was the documentary?
True Cost.
Yeah,
True Cost. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, I watched it on Amazon Prime. It's also on YouTube as well. And I watched it, and ever since I saw that, I thought, oh, far out. You just think about it. Imagine if your mum went to work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then one day she didn't come home because the building collapsed because there was people. It just,
Yeah. I guess for me, it's just, I think it's about the small processes. Like when you go and buy fabric, be wary that, you just can't go buy 4 meters and you're going to waste the whole thing. I think it's about making small steps, to become, a lot more wary. So for me, it's been about that, like, just having a look, sometimes.
Yeah, when I go to the Otara fabric store to make my dresses, I always get 3 meters just to be safe. And I've always got so much material left. And now I'm thinking, after watching that documentary, I'm like, did I really need to buy this? This is just going to go in the bin, or I can just make a pencil case out of this or something. Well, what can I make from this meter that's left over? It's interesting. How do you think we can get people to actually care about, because of the Pacific Islands as well?
I think the hardest part is our Pacific Island people. But the thing is, I've been watching a lot of our the younger generation really advocate for climate change. And although everyone's like, I think it's affecting our Pacific Islands the most, which is why it's had to make me ask myself a lot of questions about my practice. But I think, I don't know if any of our Pacific people have kind of considered that. But I think once we start to realize how much of an effect it's having on our Pacific people and our Pacific Islands, and I mean, eventually it's probably going to even be here, New Zealand, I think once we have that kind of mentality on how it's going to affect our people and where we come from, then I think maybe everyone will start waking up. But I'm just really glad that there's a whole younger generation who is wary, because they're the ones who are going to have to, cop it. So
it's an interesting one, like
it is interesting.
Fashion in the Pacific industry. I don't know. I mean, this is the first time I've ever talking about this, so I could be just botting it right now and listen to this like, excuse me, there's heaps of ethically sourced Pacific clothes out there. I'm like, good, tell me. I don't know. So this is really cool. What are your other biggest learning lessons from your career so far?
I think
how to be more confident in networking with people. I felt like with me doing this podcast, I've really grown to talk to absolute strangers and build friendships with them just straight away. Just like, even like this, like I'm talking to you, I've known you for 20 years. But has it really helped you with connecting with others?
Yes, it has. Like, I mean, same thing, like how we met, was able to just comment on something, and then, then we like started to check each other. But I think networking is definitely a big thing. It's something I've gotten better with in this industry. So it was really nice, like, when I did that show in 2017, it was a local show. For me, that was my first introduction to networking. And then I got to meet other Pacific designers, and, even to this day that and models and photographers, and to this day, I'm still friends with them. So I think just putting yourself out there and going, like for me, it was just going to one workshop, and the next minute I started meeting all these different people.
And that's how it starts, right? You just start with one. Was it quite uncomfortable at times having to put yourself out there? Was it quite a weird feeling, or were you okay with it?
You know what? I think if I was my younger self, I wouldn't have done it. I would have been too chicken and I would have took myself out of it. Yeah. But because I think now I'm a lot older and I don't know, it makes you a bit more braver.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Life experience.
Yes, that's right.
For any young people that are listening to this podcast right now or watching this, just start by little things. Put yourself out there. Your confidence will build up over time. A perfect example is my dad, right? So he was a courier driver for a couple of years, and he would struggle talking to these shop owners or these warehouse people that he delivers to.
Yes.
And being from Samoa, you didn't really. Yes. I think over time, just a simple good morning, thank you, that leads to how's your morning been, and then it leads to, have you had a coffee? This like little things, and now he's actually really good friends with a lot of them. So
yes.
My 60-year-old father can do it.
Yes, anyone can.
Yeah, and you just make friends along the way, and it ended up in him because he left the courier to my brother, and he ended up getting the most amazing recommendations for the other job that he was going to from these people that he couldn't even say hello to. So
I think for us as Pacifica people, I think it's about if we're gonna like try and take a big massive leap of faith, I think just start small.
That's small. It is. Yeah.
I think you start small, and then eventually your confidence will progress, and then it will allow you to try the bigger things. So that's something I'm always learning.
It is, You know, even before this this talk show that I do, I started back when I was in 2015. But in 2014, I was having little meetings with people, and I was doing things just to get my. And then I couldn't just to even start talking about. I couldn't even do it. Like they're like, "Oh, Tima's thinking of starting a talk show. Oh, what's your talk show?" And I'm like, I don't know, and you just have to go through it. And now I remember the girl that I was, the woman I was talking to at that time. Now she's been a guest of mine. I can talk to her whenever. It happens. You'll get there.
Yes, you will.
I mean, what advice would you give to your kids from your learning career? So taking your lessons from your career, how would you then advise your children when they go into their careers of whatever?
I think for me, my kids, I think I would say to them just to be brave.
Be brave.
Be brave, and just give it a go. And if you fail, that's okay. You gave it a go. Not everyone can give it a go or take that first step. So for me, it would be to be brave and just go for it.
Do they have any idea of what they want to do in the future?
Not really, not at the moment. Like, actually, my second book.
How old's your boy? How old's your young one?
My youngest one is 10.
When I was 10, I wanted to work at McDonald's. Seriously, that was like I wanted to become a baker when I was 11. Yeah. It changes.
Yeah, it does. I think they're too, like nowadays they have a lot of access to technology. So my son's like, I want to be a gamer, but I'm like, okay.
No, it's interesting. You can make millions of dollars.
I know. But I'm like, do you know you have to be really good? But I'm like, hey, look, son, right, let's just go with it. If that's what you want to be, okay. But I know my husband's like for it, but for me, because like my husband's in IT, so he's for it. But me, I'm just like, I think I'm a bit more traditional in that sense.
Yeah, no, it changes.
There's
a lot of money in there, and it's different.
I know, I've heard.
Entrepreneurship and freelancing and contracting. There's so many different pathways. What's happening for Sheena right now? Personal development, career-wise, is Sheena making dresses? Is she looking for clients? Is she looking for models?
It's funny that you brought that up, because I was actually supposed to launch my first capsule collection for this year at the end of this month, and tomorrow. But I've had to put that on hold. But I think for me, I might have to I might have to like take some of my own advice and just launch it, so that's where I'm at. I'm kind of like in a place where I'm launching my next collection. So I think for me, it's trying to just do it. That's where I'm at right now.
Another thing that, like, when I was younger, the advice career advice that was given to us was find a job that you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. And that is lies. Love what we do. There's admin to it. There's meetings that you don't want to do. Like, there's so much to it. Like,
I couldn't agree more. Like, that is a lie.
That lie, man. It's because even with my podcast, I love the podcast. You know what I don't like is the type typing of the questions.
Yeah.
I love the questions. I think my questions are great. But the typing of the
They are great.
the DMing people, it's just like, I wish I had an assistant that could do that. Like, I wish I could be present just for the fun stuff. Even the editing, like after we do this, I'm going to extract this from Zoom, and then I'm going to edit. Even that takes like 2 hours.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's the part that's why I had to put my brand on hold, because I had to ask myself some really serious questions about, okay, if we're going to launch a collection, is it going to be 10 or 20 outfits, or is it going to be a small like say five outfits, something I can make all on my own, or do I want to add things to it? Do I want to try and add t-shirts maybe? It's all those things that I'm having to consider. And
do you know what attracts me to a brand personally is when I can see the designer's story in it, or when I can see the part of or anyone, whoever, whatever it is, like any business that I engage with, I can see a part of the owner in it. I don't I think too many people focus on what we want, but sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I want. What can you give me? What's something about you that can give me? Even in a podcast, like when I have guests come on and they try to act professional, and I'm like, this is not professional. I'm in my sitting room. This is not. We're in a public space. Like, just be yourself.
Yeah.
Of course, don't swear or anything, but be yourself. And I like that. So if I can see a bit of you in your next collection, oh, girl, take my money. Take my money. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so would you like to add anything else? We'll wrap it up soon, but would you like to add anything else?
I think I'm okay now. Yeah. Nothing. No, I think I'm all right. Yeah.
To sing us a song? No.
Okay.
Cool. Well, you're blushing.
Yeah.
Have you seen the video on Facebook of the 90-year-old Cook Island grandpa, and he's like drumming like he's still a young guy?
No, I haven't.
I'll send it to you.
I better look for it. I better look it up.
And he drums on the cabin bread. What do you call it? Upper? What do you call it? The cabin bread container, like the tin?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is in Cook Island.
Yeah. He's drumming on that. You know they drum on that?
Yeah.
It's so inspiring to see.
I've got to look that video up.
I get told sometimes that I look Cook Island. Some people think that I'm Raro. And I was doing round the base with my best friend, his workplace, and one of the ladies, she's from Raro, and she was like, "Where in Rarotonga are you from?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm from Samoa." Like, but yeah, that was yeah. But thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. This has actually made my day. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
I hope I was able to add value.
No, it was good. I'm going to do a post after this. I love that you never talked once about weight loss. That that was so authentic of you, and I could really see that you don't care about any of that, because some people are like, oh, I want to be skinny. I'm guilty of that. I'm always like, I want to be skinny. But I love that talking to you, I now feel okay with the way I look. Yeah, and that's a journey that I guess I'm still kind of old school.
Yeah,
like being skinny is ideal.
Yeah.
You've made me feel confident in who I am, and I like that you've just been really honest. I really appreciate it. So, is this your first ever podcast?
Yes, it is. It is. I messaged some friends before I jumped on. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing my first podcast. Can I just be really nervous?
Yeah. Don't be nervous. Are you still nervous now?
No, I'm fine now.
I have that effect. Even through Zoom, I have that effect.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for making the time again. I can't thank you enough, and I'm excited to keep following your journey on social media, and I look forward to seeing more of your posts.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. All right, well, take care, and this podcast will be up first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Take care, Sheena. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.